When it comes to buying rental property, there are many different strategies that you can use. One of them that we like to focus on here with our investors in California is buying for appreciation versus buying for cash flow. A lot of the times when we meet new investors, the first thing they bring to the table is cash flow. They want to buy a rental property and they want to cash flow. They want to have a net profit at the end of the month after all expenses. And they want that cash flow, that net profit, to be anywhere between $300, $500, or $1,000. Those numbers are very achievable. The problem we see with many investors is that cash flow tends to be very slow. And so when you buy a property and you're making $300, $500 a month, that's going to be anywhere between $3,600 to $6,000 a year. So think about this. How long is it going to take you to save up another down payment for that next house so you can make more cash flow? At $5,000 a year, that means that you're going to have to save another 10 years for you to make enough money to buy that next home. Obviously, people have incomes and they can save in other ways, but this is just assuming that you get the cash flow from one property and you put it onto the next investment. So number one, cash flow takes too long. Number two is going to be the down payments. So in California, average price points are going to be anywhere between 600, 700, 800,000. So if you're buying a primary home to live in, that's going to be a little bit different, right? Because you're buying at 5% down usually on 700,000. That's only $35,000. But if you're buying an investment property, that assumes and implies that you're going to have to make at least a down payment of 25%, 30%. So let's take even 20%. Let's be a little bit more conservative and talk about a little bit less money. 20% as a down payment on 700,000, that's still going to be 140,000. Keeping in mind that you're only making a certain amount of cash flow in California, also out of state, and then it's going to take you that long for you to generate enough money to buy that next property. And keep in mind, you have to have reserves for that first property. You have to have a cushion in case something goes wrong with the property, a bad tenant, or even something in the systems goes wrong, like the AC system, the heating system. So you have to plan for those payments and investments in the future. So number two, down payments are too hefty and it takes too long for you to save another $40,000, $50,000, $80,000 to buy that next property. So number three, now we move into appreciation. Why is a good investment or a good strategy to start with appreciation, or to shift the mentality of buying cash flow initially and then buying appreciation? The reason why a lot of people stay away from buying appreciation is because, number one, properties are much more expensive here in California. Number two, they don't see the money coming in. Cash flow is very tangible. Cash flow is something that you can touch, you can see every month. And even if it's $200, $500 a month, you can see the money in your account and you can see it growing. The problem with appreciation is it's all paper money, or appreciation is something you can't touch, you can't feel. So a lot of people don't see that money going up. But in California, outside of any particular bad markets or shifting markets, you can expect a 5 to 7% appreciation on the price points. So if you're buying that same property for $700,000 and you're aiming for appreciation, a 5% increase per year is going to be $35,000. And we have seen upwards of 25% in the recent years. It doesn't mean that you can expect that, but it does mean that you can expect more money in appreciation. So the point is that as a strategy, you're going to forego some of the cash flow that you can make in properties in California or out of state, and you're going to buy for appreciation, so that you're banking on either forcing appreciation onto the property or letting the property grow organically, so that if you are making $35,000 a year, in 5 years and 6 years, you're going to have about $200,000 sitting in that property. And then you can use that money, deploy it to buy other properties in cheaper states. So if you have 200,000 from appreciation of that first investment, now you can grab that money and go buy 2 properties in Ohio, in Michigan, and other states like it, and buy 2 properties each for $100,000, where each property is making $1,200, $1,500 a month, and that is going to be much more money. I think at the end of the day, we're banking on someone like this buying 1, 2, 3 properties in a span of 3 to 5 years, so that now 2, 3, 4 years later, you can multiply the 200,000 by the amount of investments that they have bought. So if one property makes 200,000 times 3 properties, that's going to be 600,000. So you can get to retirement and building wealth a lot faster when you have $400,000 to $600,000 in equity, and then you can sell those properties and then buy cash flowing properties elsewhere once you have accumulated equity.